Welcome to Scramble Game Show. We are in a cool air-conditioned studio, but I know this past few days, maybe even next few days, the weather is horrendous. We might even have 100-degree temperature. So if you are tuning in watching this program, that means either you are in a very comfortable air-conditioned room or the weather has cooled down a bit, okay? And you should stay tuned because our program is bringing you some important things. As you know, our town, Somers town, has a major change. The town supervisor for over 12 years is moving on. Maribeth Murphy is going to run for the Westchester County clerk. So the vacant spot would be open for November's election. Along with that, of course, the council will have new members as well. So we begin now to interview candidates, although we are not just focused or limited to Somers, but we'll start with Somers Town and any other town, candidates from Yorktown, other area, we also welcome. The whole purpose of public access TV is to make you informed about local politics, school matters, everyday life. So today we have one candidate. He's going to be the candidate for town councilman for Somers Town. And let's welcome him, Mr. Harvey Kriedberg. Harvey. Yeah,
thank you, Ife. Thank you for this nice, cool studio. My car thermometer said 98.
It was 98, huh?
So this is absolutely delightful.
Right. Well, thank you for joining us. You probably not familiar with the game show. The game show started out as a community education program, tailored to kids, families, to build up their sort of a learning habit. It's a word game, math game type of show. But then later on, we begin to expand our sort of a scope to include interviews for professionals, educators, superintendents, teachers, and then politicians running for public office. So now you are in that category, and now you are a public official candidate running for the councilman for town of Somers.
I hate to think of that evil word, politician.
Okay. First of all, let me ask, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. My name's Harvey Kriedberg. I've lived in Somers for the last 21 years. I'm married to Roberta for 54 years.
Wow.
I have 2 children, and I have 5 grandchildren. And currently, I'm a member of the Somers School Board. I've been a member for over 2 years with the gentleman sitting on my left. And I think we do a pretty good job. We supervise a superintendent. We have 3,400 children, and we have an excellent school facility, which I think is one of the finest in New York State, and we're proud of that.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, you served on the school board, as you indicated. You're doing a good job, and you're enjoying it. I understand somebody must have twisted your arms to run for this town's councilman.
Well, I wouldn't quite call it arm twisting, but I think in truth, it's sort of time that I should be putting more effort into the town. Until now, I've been president of the Heritage Hills Society for 4 years, and Heritage Hills with 5,000 residents, all kinds of facilities that have to be taken care of, multi-million-dollar budgets. I was in charge of that. I've also been involved in my own condominium for the last 20 years. I have managed to avoid the presidency until 4 years ago when I walked in late to a meeting. And I've been president for 4 years. We almost have $1 million budget that we're involved in. We take care of 115 units, and we're a force in Heritage Hills. And during all of this time, I've been involved with the school board as a school liaison to Heritage Hills. So I've been in Heritage Hills. I don't know whether people realize it, but we have the largest stormwater facility north of the Croton watershed, which I was involved in taking care of that for the past 10 years. So I've been busy, and it's sort of time to take some of my life experiences and move them into
municipality, yeah.
And the municipal area. I would have done this, but the fact that Mary Beth Murphy is leaving. She's been supervisor for actually 16 years.
Oh, 16 years.
16 years, and done a good job for us. But she's leaving, that vacates a spot, and that causes a little concern about whomever gets in there. Will be moving in a direction. And you can think of the town of Somers like a sort of a sailboat, with the supervisor being the captain of the ship and steering, with the sails being the town of Somers and the people's desires and needs, pushing those sails in a direction. And then what do? We have councilmen. What do the councilmen do? Well, the councilmen are the rudder. And the rudder has to make sure that the ship is going in the right direction. The captain can steer, but if the ship is going in circles. So I'm there to make sure that we get off to a good start and that we start steering that ship in the direction that the town feels it should go in.
So it certainly looks like that you have a number of experiences that are related to town affairs and so forth. Now, from what you see, let's say for the next few years, what are the main issues that with the town?
Well, there are a number of issues. Somers has always enjoyed a sort of a low tax rate compared to other communities. We want to make sure that Somers' rate is affordable for the people that we have. We have many senior citizens. We don't want to see those taxes rise, but we want services, and we want to make sure that whatever services we provide will be efficient. So that's a major need, to keep those taxes in line with what we've had before. However, to do this, there are many instances where I don't believe that we have a budget that takes in some of our money that's excess at the end of the year. We don't use all the money. And some of that money should be put into a reserve fund, like the library. The library has its own budget, but the library, poor library, had leaks and had to have some renovations. We didn't have the money for it for 3 or 4 years. But if we would have had a good reserve fund, that might have helped. Taking school board experiences that I've had, we've had certiorieries from a large part of the community. We just pumped in, $6.7 million into Pepsi certiorari. But the school board had put money aside for certiorieries. The town has not. And I think it's time that the town put some money aside so that if we are caught and we need some funds, we have it. So I'm concerned about that, the finance being an issue, good administration being an issue in the town. That's one of the things, and taxes. One of the other things that I'm concerned about is the area of Heritage Hills. Heritage Hills, for the years I was president in 1997, we've been negotiating with the town, trying to get the town to take over the water and sewer company. Water and sewer company it's a huge development, and when the town starts reviving again, west of Heritage Hills on Lovell Street, there's a development up there that has been approved by the town that should be hooked up. They were planning on hooking up to the sewer company. The problem up there is that they cannot put in any of those septics. So the Department of Health has refused, especially when there's an area where they can put in regular sewers. So Heritage Hills Sewer would serve that development. There's a development that's being planned on the opposite side of Route 202 near the shopping center, where they're going to be putting in a memory care center plus a supermarket. That will have to hook up to Heritage Hills. The schools are hooked up to Heritage Hills. The shopping centers, both of them are hooked into Heritage Hills. The sewer company is an important part, and the water company.
But isn't the status of that is already moving into the situation that town would have total control now?
Well, the rates have been the highest in the entire Westchester area, and the builders' rates have always been, I think, outrageous, and most people agree.
Yeah.
If it's feasible, and it has to be feasible for the town, and it has to be for the people in Heritage Hills, a study should be done. I know they've talked about a study, but I have not seen one single shred of paper that shows that any study has been done to make the case whether it pays or not. We haven't had an increase in the last 8 years, so I'm sure the builder is coming in with the owner of the sewer company and the water company will come in with a price increase. I'm concerned about that.
So you are saying that the town has not had a proposal to take this over?
They've discussed it. I know that they've discussed it with the Heritage Hills Society, but the society right now is taking a position that they'd like it taken over, if it's feasible. So we need an honest to goodness study on that. Everyone will benefit by it. The more people that pay, the lower the rates will go. Yeah. And since the town has no profit motive, I think it's excellent for the town. And one of the nicest thing about this for the town of Somers is that the only people that will pay a bond, should it go out to bond, will be the people who use the system. So none of the taxpayers in town will be affected by it. So it's I think a win-win situation for everybody if we go through that. That's the second issue. Third issue is something which is rather upsetting. It's the affordable housing issue in Somers, which I think is a major issue. 2005, the town board entered into an agreement with Westchester County for the purchase of the Anglefly Preserve. And they got other monies that came from federal monies as well. But what they did is they made a deal with Westchester County. And the deal was to put in what they call workforce affordable housing. Now, whether you agree with workforce affordable housing or not, there were strings, those were the strings that were attached to the deal. And since 2005, no workforce affordable housing has been put into Somers. They have a place. They have an area up on Route 6 near the Somers shopping mall. And this thing is going back and forth in discussion as to whether they will do it, whether the builder wants to put in more houses and less commercial property. It's right now apparently dead in the water. They've got to do this because from what I've heard, the town of Somers could be fined up to anywhere from $2 million to $8 million if somebody in Westchester County pressures us and really wants to see this job done. So far, we have not put in any workforce affordable housing. The last thing in the world I would want to see as a member of the board or as a member of the town of Somers is to get fined for this thing. We can do this thing, we agree to it, get it done, get it over with. It's in an area that nobody should object, and I'd like to see it done.
I think isn't that this delay partly because the complication of another sort of a federal mandated affordable housing that is forced upon Westchester, where Westchester had to find a place to put some housing, and Somer might have been considered as a candidate.
Yeah. Westchester made a deal with the federal government.
Right.
They took federal money, and now they, as a result, all the communities in Westchester County had to put in affordable housing. And we've done some of our affordable housing obligations. I know there are plenty of seniors that are very happy with those units that went up right near the shopping center in Baldwin Place.
Yeah.
So we've done what we were supposed to do, but this particular part of it, we haven't done anything. And you know, it's what is that old saying? Be careful of what you wish for, because you may get it.
Right.
When you make a deal with the federal government, you have to, or in this case, Westchester County, you've got to look at the strings that are attached to these things, because if you don't.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was done a few years ago.
But now we only have 2 years to go.
When I guess was Andy Spannell was the county executive.
Yeah.
So now the current executive Astorino has to sort of deal with it.
Yeah. But right now the deadline for building was 2015. So it looks like we've got 2 years to deal with this thing. I would hate to have this thing over our heads.
That 2015 is the Somers was the federal government's agreement, or
Westchester. That was the Angle Fly agreement.
Angle Fly agreement.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great piece of property for us to acquire.
Oh yeah, and the Angle Fly actually I think has drawn quite a bit of attention, and the town folks are enjoying that property.
Yeah.
So that's nothing bad about it. Yeah. Well, so these are issues now you see that sort of facing the town of Somers.
Yes, I do.
Right? And
I'd like to be a part of this, and I think with my background experience, look, I worked for the New York City Board of Education for 30 years.
Right.
I was a science teacher when I started. We became a school of a magnet school in the area of what we called earth science and astronomy. We were chartered from the city of New York, the state. We were a state school of national recognition. Kids had to take a test to get into our school. It was great. I was the science coordinator of the school. I became the assistant principal, and I became the principal of the school. We had 1,200 children.
Yeah, in New York City, school is not small.
and I enjoy when we have 20 kids in the class, and sometimes the teachers are complaining. We had 40 in many classes. And again, a multi-million-dollar budget. I have a professional diploma in from St. John's University in administration and supervision. So I spent my life in the New York City Board of Education, and then applied all these skills to the all of these high-paying jobs that we volunteer for.
But this town councilman job does have a little pay compared to the school board, so you cannot say that you're not get promoted to a high-paid job.
I guess this is a promotion.
Well, it has to be. It's almost infinite in terms of ratio of payment.
I guess so. But I've been volunteering ever since I've been here for the 21 years, either on the condo board, the society board, or doing something with the school system. So
well, one thing you pointed out, which is I agree with you, that in town of Somers has a very unique sort of characteristics. That is, we do have a sort of a community that has many seniors. In fact, I was challenged by saying that it's a retirement community. That's not so, and people really. So I think politically correct statement is that we have a population of senior people in town of Somers, and it's important to look out for them, right? So I think perhaps from the town management point of view, having people representing the heritage, population and interest is reasonably, sort of expected.
Yeah, well, our population in Heritage is really active. They volunteer so many things, you know, everything from driving people to doctor visits to volunteering in the schools. We have a good group. But what's happened in Heritage since there's less building going on in Somers is that the young families are moving in.
Begin to move into
And
the Heritage
our concern, of course, as members of the school board, is that we're going to get more kids coming in, and our classes will start to grow again. But it's a wonderful community, and so is Somers. Somers is a magnificent community. Coming from Brooklyn to Somers, this is really heaven up here.
Right.
The other, there is one other issue that I could see. The town has committees. One of the committees is the Sustainable Somers Committee. A gentleman by the name of Herb Oringel is the chairman of that committee.
That's more like energy sustainable.
It's using, trying to use less energy, less oil, less electricity. And Herb is I think he's a graduate of, what is it, RPI? He's an engineer.
Yeah, he used to work for IBM, yes.
And he's an IBM, yeah. He knows his stuff. This is one of the best committees that we have here in Somers.
Yeah, certainly a most sort of noticeable committee.
One of the things about using less energy, like what we did in the schools, we put in solar lighting into a good portion of the schools. We could do the same in the town. We could start small and see how that cuts our bills. Solar energy is a good way to go. But Herb was on TV the other day, and the town had mentioned that they've got to get all kinds of special permits for this thing. And they haven't done that yet. The other thing is that we use some energy for our police cars, and we have a bus. We could start small. Let's encourage this as chairman of the committee, and let's see if we can purchase, if it's cost effective, a car that runs on electricity and a bus that runs on electricity that the town now uses. See if that helps, and maybe encourage some of the people in the town to do the same. We can go to the supermarkets and ask that the supermarkets put in a couple of outlets.
But have Heritage Hills considered that? Because that population seemed to be the most users of the sort of local bus type of services.
But the bus comes from the town, and if the town bus, one bus, could use electricity, they may see their bills for gas go down. If the town can have one car, one police car, that just
I would imagine you don't even have to experiment. Those statistics probably is easily obtainable. There are many other places already, using that. Particularly if your environment is a small environment and your services are confined. I think electric cars are known to be, efficient.
Yeah, it just might work. So I would want to see us take a look at that. If again, the rudder of the ship.
So you want to bring some ideas into
bring some ideas in that might help us a little bit. We may be able to make a deal with Metro North, put in a couple of parking spaces that have plugs.
Yep.
And people are not going to buy those cars unless there's some place they can plug them besides their garage or their neighbor's garage if they're lucky to get in there. But I think that's
well, currently these buses, where are they parked? I don't even see them around.
They're somewhere. On occasion, you'll see a bus.
No, I see on the roads. But where do they have a parking space somewhere?
I don't know. There must be something maybe up the Van Tassel house, or maybe they put them at Reese Park.
If they have a place to park, they should have a place to charge, electrically, right? So that certainly, I agree with
So,
you. That might be a good idea to introduce to the town and let the town do a study and you know, implement something.
do it, you know, administratively it's excellent. Small scale, you have a little sample, and then you extrapolate and see how that works. Maybe we can teach some people in the town a little bit about math.
Right. You know, this town nowadays is constrained by the so-called cap of taxes, and
we have
a lot of things
2%.
you want to do. Certainly, good ideas sometimes, you know, cost money. So what's your view about this 2% cap that is being now sort of put over all the municipal governments?
Well, as you know, it's been a nightmare for us in the schools. Many good teachers had to be asked to leave. Fortunately, we had a large number of retirements, and we're able to keep those teachers. But what will happen with a cap is that we will have and we have a cap, is that some of these programs that we may want to put in will be, we won't be able to do that. People will be happy about that because they're not going to be spending much money.
Ooh. Okay.
And they may be satisfied, but again, there may be some section of the population that's going to say, well, wait a minute, we need these services.
Right.
And all we'll be able to do is say, we agree with you,
Yep.
but we can't do anything.
Right.
So I think the cap can be helpful, and in some cases it isn't. I'm very ambivalent about the cap right now.
Well, yeah, that's certainly something that you need to deal with. You know, Harvey, when I interview people and people on my program, it always goes fast. Conversations are very, you know, fluent, and your time is up.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to give you less than a minute. Speak into the camera, okay, to the audience, why you want to run for the councilman and ask for their vote.
All right,
right here, this camera.
Okay. As I said before, I have extensive experience in administration and supervision. I think that my 30 years experience with the Board of Education, my experience with the school board, my experience in Heritage Hills, my knowledge in the field of stormwater management, my ability to work well with people in a collegial atmosphere, which is something I've been doing for the last, well, God,
50 years.
50 some odd years right now. It doesn't seem possible, but it's true. I think that goals can be achieved with collegiality and with showing people that there is a way to get together, to compromise when it has to be compromised. I think I could do that. I'd like to use my experiences to better our town. And since we have a supervisor who is now leaving, a new supervisor, I want to help that supervisor move in the right direction with my colleagues in town.
Very
so
good.
Ife, thank you for that.
Okay. All right. So, as you see that our program, and it runs out of time, we'll continue to interview the candidates throughout the summer till November. So stay tuned on our channel, and in Somers particularly is channel 74, Cablevision, and of course our program is broadcasted all the way south to New Rochelle and so on. So, thank you for watching.